All right, this evening I'm working on my Synchro, T3 Synchro, and I got a fairly simple job today, and that's to replace the power steering pump. So you can see that one's all oily, well, much oilier than everything else around, and it's been leaking somewhere, and it's flinging. You see there's flung around power steering fluid, and it's grumbling a little bit, leaking. So I happen to have a good one sitting over here that was off of some other engine a while back. So I'm just going to replace it and top off the fluid, and I'll have to catch what falls out. But I'm going to show you what's involved. This one's pretty easy. There's a single bolt that goes down here. That's the pivot, which you can see is that bolt way down there in the dark. Not any of these up close, but that one way down there. So that'll be the pivot. It's got a carriage on the back, so it's captive. It won't spin the whole way through, so I'll have to undo the nut, pull that out. And then there's one bolt up here for the adjuster. That's that bolt right there. That's basically what holds this in place. So as soon as I get that adjuster loose, there, I'll be able to get some slack on my belt, and then I can undo the lower bolt. And the pump will be free at that point, but it's still going to be attached to these lines. So you'll probably want to undo these lines first, because what you'll find is as soon as this pump's free, this is floating around all over the place, and you'll have a harder time breaking these lines loose. Now, this bigger one over here, that's the suction line. It comes over here to the power steering reservoir, so that's the suction. So as soon as I take that off, anything that's in this reservoir up here is going to try to drain out. So I'll put a bucket under there to try to capture as much as I can. But then as quickly as possible, I want to raise that up to above the power steering reservoir level so that the fluid doesn't try to gravity drain out. So I'll get that done. Now this is a high pressure line, and there's probably going to be plenty of fluid in it. So I want to pick that up too and hold that up as high as possible to keep stuff from draining. But no matter what, I'm going to dump some fluid out. So I'm going to put down some cardboard and put down a bucket to catch as much as I can. But this will end up getting a little messy. So let me start getting some of this stuff off and get things in place and show you how it goes. All right, I'm just about to break off my lines. You can see I've got a oil bucket down there. Nice big piece of cardboard for everything that's not going to get in the bucket. This wrench, it's going to be, you're going to need a 24 millimeter or a 15/16. Either one of those will work. So I'm going to use that there. Now this other one is a 22 millimeter, but it can't get a wrench in. So I'm going to get this guy with a socket and extension. And I might disconnect these electrical. There's a plug on the end there. I might go ahead and disconnect those wires just because they'll kind of keep me from holding that up nice and high. So let me break those off. So we got the hoses off. There's the high pressure one sitting up there. I have the low pressure just tucked over here. Now, something to be aware of, don't lose these. There's a copper crush washer right there, all right? And there should be one on each side. So there's that one sitting there. There's that one sitting there. There's still one hiding underneath the other side of this bolt. And the other one is right down there. You see that coppery color. So don't lose those. Keep them clean, and we'll need to reuse them. If possible, buy new ones and replace them, but you don't have to. Usually you can reuse these without any trouble. Okay, the new pump is in. You can see it's sitting there. I left the old bolt still in, so there's a couple of crush washers down there, so I'll need to make sure those are matched up correctly. That 17 millimeter big one that's a little blurry down there, that one's not totally tight because I just set the tension. So leave that one finger tight or just barely tight, enough so that the pump will swing back and forth freely, because you need to set the tension on the belt. So this 13 millimeter will set that tension. Now what I do, because there's not any other adjuster here, is I put a wrench in and I just pry it over that way. And I'm going to hold that there with my left hand, keeping the belt tight, and I'm going to reach down with the wrench and tighten that up. And once that's tight, it won't slip back, and you'll want this belt, you know, to keep nice tension on it. I've always used the rule that if you can twist the belt 90 degrees like that, and it's got good resistance to it, then it's tight. And I could really see how I can twist it even more. I could really tighten this one up more, but if you see that, that's about right. Maybe a little loose. And if it were a new belt, I'd try to do it a little bit tighter, because new belts always stretch some. So if you have a new belt that's perfectly tight, and you drive around for a week, you'll find out it's kind of loose and you got to retighten it. But since this one's used and already stretched, I'm not really going to stretch it any more than that, and that'll be okay. But like I said, if this were new, I would tighten it more than this right now, just because I know it'll stretch a little. And that one's a little loose too. Well, anyways, so I'll get those, make sure they're both finally torqued. I think I just did the 17, now I need to do the 13. Make sure those are good and tight, and then I will get these hoses put back on with the correct number of crush washers. There should be one crush washer on the underside of this banjo fitting and one on the top side. So I got one top side and I got one bottom side. I need to make sure there's none other sticking in here. Same thing here. There's one bottom side, and that bolt that's up here still has the other one in it. So all I need to do is take out this bolt and make sure that one doesn't fall. Okay, almost done. Okay, I'm done. Well, not done because I still got to clean up. But you can see I wound up with a decent little mess there because I realized I lost one of the crush washers there. I had to take off that high pressure line, and then a bunch of fluid dumped out, and I had already put my bucket over there. So I made a little bit of a mess on the cardboard, but that's why we put down cardboard. Now I gotta clean that up a bit. But this is done. Power steering reservoir has been refilled with ATF. So there's one little thing knocked off. I'll keep this old pump around because I'm a pack rat, and because it can be rebuilt, so if I ever had to go out and get another one in the future, that's at least a good core. So, well, one little project down.